NWT and not DFGX?
I think you're not on DGFX. I think I intentionally scheduled.
is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
With the Lotus 49 hailing originally from the 1906 and 7 season, I mention that was the year the infamous Gurney Eagle won its lone race here at Spa. Though we don't have that car in the iRacing service, it still feels special anytime the series rocks up to the Ardennes Forest. A much shorter track today, Spa's modern layout still provides a test of nerves and skill. We'll see who can add this classic course to their trophy case as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Lotus 49 World Cup, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Johan Van Veld. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Johan, I didn't always enjoy racing Spa and other cars, but in the Lotus I found it was just utter joy.
Not only driving a car around this track, just visiting it is an amazing experience. Being able to see how the track follows the landscape of the forest, hearing engine roar through the trees, it's a location that every race fan should just visit at least once in their life. And the 2-hour traffic jam through the Belgian countryside, well, it's just a part of the experience. Spa-Francorchamps was originally constructed in 1920 and used all public roads to connect the towns of Francorchamps, Malmedy and Stavelot. The first race in 1921 was cancelled for only having one participating driver, but after that year it has come with a place in all race hearts all over the world. Like Joe mentioned, the original circuit was cut short in 1979 and saved to measures half the length, resulting in roughly the 7-kilometer layout we see today. But even though it's not the same configuration as when the Lotus 49 raced here, Spa is still a circuit to be feared and respected. Corners like Eau Rouge, Pohon, Blanchemont are some of the most difficult corners in the world, and drivers need equal parts skill and bravery to get a quick lap time. And to see how that looks like, let's hop on board the GSRC Lotus 49 for a lap around Spa-Francorchamps.
Alright, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Spa. Across the start-finish line, you're immediately faced with Eau Rouge. A fair bit of braking at the bottom will set you up to wind over Radillon. The car gets very light, and getting on the power is extremely difficult here. And since it takes you onto the Kimmel Straight, it's extra important to find traction as soon as it's available. Every 1/10 of a second sooner you can accelerate, the more top end you're going to find by the time you hit the braking zone for Lacombe. And this chicane will be very popular for overtakes. The downside will be it's easy to come in way too hot, and it won't be uncommon to see drivers cut across the grass to Malmedy. That puts us at the highest point on the track, and so back downhill we go. Because the elevation drops so drastically, you'll brake early for this 180-degree bend. Understeer around here will be a frequent problem. Switch sides quickly because you've got to hit no-name corner. There is AstroTurf around the outside, but it doesn't quite offer as much grip and isn't ideal. You can see the valley with the start-finish line off in the distance, but before you know it, you're braking for Pouan. I find snap oversteer is something that happens a lot on entry, but it's also difficult gauging how soon and how much you can get back on the power through this second apex. Lap time can be gained if you can unlock its secrets. It's kind of a short burst of Fanyes, which can be frustrating in the 49. It always feels like you're compromising one apex or the other and never truly nailing this right-left. Then there's Stavelot. Expect a lot of dirt and dust kicked up when drivers push it that little bit too hard and dip their wheels into the gravel on the left. On the second apex, you've got to really nail the launch off the bend. It doesn't help that the track gently curves while you're accelerating out of it, meaning you'll find yourself countersteering even in 4th gear. Now, while most cars are easily flat out through this left turn, in the Lotus you've got to lift just a little bit to make it through. Then stab the brakes and swing it into Blanchemont. Getting your right foot down quickly will be critical, but also get the car set up for the bus stop. Let it drift off to the left while you throw out the anchor and slow it down. This fiddly little chicane will produce a lot of missed apexes when drivers fly in way too hot. And it's going to be tough finding grip when you exit in the lower gears, meaning many might spin out as they get greedy. The final corner will be La Source and offers a last-ditch opportunity to overtake. Just be careful and watch out for the savvy drivers who can pull an over-under on you and snatch that place right back. What's great for viewers is that creates some thrilling finishes. But as we cross the line, we've now finished a lap around Spa.
There you see a lap around Spa-Francorchamps as we wait for the cars to get their laps in. Going to take a while before we start seeing some times around this circuit. So let's take some time to look at the championship, starting with the F1 championship. Ove Tranqueray up in the lead, and Michel Dudignon now 7 points back, creeping closer and closer. Nicola Cocci still holding on to that third place. Dave Price unfortunately jumps down 3 positions. His former lead has now evaporated. Mick Claridge still within the top 5 and actually could continue to move up. He seems to think his chances at the championship are over, and well, with this and 2 more rounds to go, obviously it'd be very, very difficult for him to catch up. We also have a Formula 2 championship. It is effectively the amateur championship in this series. Johan, what are we looking at there?
I mean, there's still only one name that's on top, and that's Marcellus Breuning. The American has scored 54 points so far this season. He's being chased by a few drivers, including David Rossi. He's 18 points behind him. But the interesting thing, though, is that if you look at the last 4 races, 3 of them, David Rossi finished in front of Marcellus Breuning. So that 18-point deficit is slinking. So that's really something that Marcellus Breuning has to keep in mind going forward in this final part of the season if he wants to keep that lead in the Formula 2 championship. The last step of the podium at the moment is Hideki Corvisto. Both Rossi and Corvisto overtook in the last race Andrew Eng, who's currently sitting in P4, and 1 point behind him, Alex Cameron.
So things very, very close and getting closer together over there in the Amateur Championship. Let's take a look at the constructors, of course. This championship, more of a nations championship. The UK leading the way there. Claridge and Price have really helped bring that up. Despite Price falling off the lead, with both of them being within the top 5, obviously it makes it a little bit easier. Tranqueray is the only one that has been contributing over there on Norway. France not only has Dudignon, but of course he's got a little bit of help, only at 4 points. That bumps them up third, jumping up 2 positions. Italy goes down 1, with Cocci being the only contributor, and the U.S. still struggling to try and do something despite a lot of competitors contributing to their points. In case you haven't watched the Lotus 49 series before, why don't we go back to Johan one more time to tell us about the race details.
Yeah, today the race at Spa-Francorchamps is round 9 of our 12-round championship. You see 2 watermarks. That means that the 2 worst results of each driver will be removed at the end of the season. So basically it is the best 10 races get selected for the point championship. The race distance today, it is a 15-lap race at Spa-Francorchamps. The setups are open for all the drivers. They can change the knobs just to their liking to really conquer this Ardennes Forest circuit. And the scoring is 40 points for the victor, 35 points for P2, and 30 points if you finish in P3.
Well, I don't know who's going to finish where, but starting in certain places is looking like Michel Dudignon going to be taking the pole. Mick Claridge is trying to give him a run for his money, but he's got 2/10 to improve. They are on their second lap with just barely enough time to try and finish them, at least for the case of Mick. Michel is much farther along on his. Now, if you enjoy all this official racing and this retro, this vintage style racing, you can find it here on the iRacing Esports Network. Definitely make sure and check this and many other series out here on IESN and click that big red button to subscribe. It says subscribe on it. You can't miss it. We enjoy watching a lot here on the IESN with the likes of Race Spot and, of course, the Sim Speed Esports Network. as well as LSR TV and Apex. Just about a minute left as we've got Michel Dudignon pretty far along the lap. We're watching Mick Claridge right now in second to see what he can do. Dudignon coming up to the bus stop. Now, they're not going to finish here as they do in the modern Grand Prix. It is after La Source. They're doing it the traditional way, Johan. They're going to head down the hill and then finish the lap.
They have one more corner to go for Michel Dudignon to finish his final lap in qualifying. Now, in practice, earlier today, he was actually slower than Mick Claridge. He was a 3:10 deficit at that point. At the moment, he's set at 15.9. The only driver with a 2:15 to his name. The second lap isn't quicker though. It's only a 2:16.2. So that means that Mick Claridge only has to win 0.2 of a second in his final lap to beat Michel Dudignon for the pole here. He managed it in practice. Will he be able to do it now again? One more corner to go. This is a very difficult corner. If you break yourself a little bit, you lose a lot of time because you cannot go as quickly on the throttle. Sliding through La Source hairpin there. Mick Claridge on the throttle, hugging the pit straight there, the pit wall, going over the finish line.
I don't think he got over it in time, though. The clock ran out. So let's go through our starting order. Michel Dudignon just saved by the bell on the pole with Mick Claridge starting in second. Ove Trangarade will be P3 in the second row, completed by Marco Acidiacono. Dimitri Hudaludis will be P5 with Dave Price starting in 6th and Marco Kika P7. Billy Bob Wright will be 8th with Rob Olenek starting in 9th, and the top 10 rounded out by Angelica Pawlowski. Johan?
First drive outside of the top 10 is Daniel Cedro. He starts racing P11. He's being flanked by Jamie Hall. In row 7 we can find Paul Foster starting in P13. Next to him is Philippe Urquhart. Scott Velez starts racing P15. Next to him is Ian Haycox. And on the last row of the grid we have Hideki Kofisto and a name we cannot see a lot there, Nicola Kochi, because he didn't manage to set the qualifying time.
Victim to the track limits of Spa, unfortunately. Easy to do if you're pushing around here. As we wait for the rest of the cars to line up on the grid. Again, we're watching round 9 of the Lotus 49 World Cup. Just Billy Bob Wright. Glad to have him up in the top split, as it did split this time once again. Slightly more drivers than we had last time. This is going to be a fascinating race, as it tends to put on a thrilling show here. Although Michel Dudignon being up at the front does not bode well for Mick Claridge. He tends to admit that he is not as good at this circuit. So engines start to rev. The lights come up. Green flag is out here at Spa-Francorchamps off the line. Dudignon a lot faster. Mick Claridge, although gets a little bit of a better run on the second half of the start. Ove Trangarade slots into third. They immediately go into Eau Rouge, and pretty much everybody single file.
Mick Claridge almost lost it there on top of Radillon. He has to swerve off the track. Gets overtaken by Ove Trangarade. Gets overtaken now as well by Marco Accidiacona. Oh, gets almost bumped by Dave Price behind him. Side by side, 2 wide, 2 thick. Through Lacombe corner, that's also Dimitris Hudaludis who's putting it side by side with Dave Price. Still Marco Accidiacona is trying to make a move on Mick Claridge, but on the outside here, Mick has more speed and he can recover P3. Oh, very late braking maneuver there from Accidiacona. He gets it! The Italian elevates himself to P3.
This is some of the best driving I think we've seen from Marco. I don't know that we've ever seen him up in the podium, and it's in the top split. He has a fire lit under him for sure. Down to Puhan. That battling has pulled them far away from the top 2. Trangarade and Dudignon stretching away by a second and a half, as Mick Claridge desperately still trying to get past Marco.
Yeah, almost. Marco gave him opportunity there, going wide through Puhan this time here. Putting it side by side, extremely close here, keeping it side by side. Now on the outside, does have a little bit of speed in the campus towards Staffolo. He has the inside of the corner, can break slightly later, but the Italian can maybe take a little bit more momentum in this corner. Still side by side on the exit of Staffolo. Mick Claridge has it though. Back to P3, while Dimitris Hudaludis is looking at this with very wide eyes, because he can see these two drivers being very slow, and him and Dave Price are trying to make a move to P3 as well.
I wondered if we'd see too wide going through Blanchimont, but nobody's brave enough for that quite yet. They all string out once again. Now they come up to the bus stop, though. We could see some more out-braking maneuvers as they're still close together. Behind them, a little bit of a battle between Billy Bob Wright and Dave Price. Price comes out ahead of that as Wright sits in 7th. It has stacked up completely, basically, from 3rd place on back. Look at that string of cars.
And over Trangerate, Michel de Dion will love this because they can just drive away freely without any pressure behind them at the moment. And one person with a lot of pressure is still Mick Claridge, because look at Marco Culiacano. He is on his still going through a rouge here. Less than 2 car lengths between the two. He will have a good exit here out of Radio. Mick Claridge a lot cleaner than he was last time around. Marco loses a few car lengths, but the trap will, I think, be too little to really give him an opportunity here in the coup.
Looks like Claridge with that better top end as they hit the braking and keeps himself safe. Now, can he stretch away in some of the more twisty parts of the circuit? I think we had a bit of an incident as Angelica Pawlowski loses multiple positions down to 11th, but she's still going. DH driver now behind Rob Olenek.
Yeah, just completely missed the braking point there, and well, a clean overtake from both Rob Olenek and Jamie Hall with this front, the door widening open and being able to pass. Just to put in reference how much Mick Claridge and Marco Culiacano were fighting the first lap. In the first lap alone, Michel de Dion has gapped them by 3.5 seconds. This is 3.5 seconds in one lap. This is an incredible speed difference just because P3 and P4 were fighting still.
Looking at Dudignon right now, you can see it's not only the 3rd place car that he's got a gap over, but Ove Trangrade has no answer for him. As we ride on board, the gap there about 1.5 seconds. They come out of the second apex of Stavelot and stretch towards Blanchemont once again. Mick Claridge has set his sights on lessening that gap, but so far it has increased from 3.5 to now 3.7 seconds, and Marco has not fallen off of him.
Now Michel de Dion is really extending the gap that he currently has, but the gap between Ove Trangrade and Mick Claridge, funnily enough, is decreasing. So Mick Claridge, the Brit, is finding speed and is just clawing himself towards the Norwegian. He has a bad run here through the bus stop chicane, misses the first apex, and that gives Marco Culiacano maybe an opportunity here going to La Source.
Good exit, saves the bacon of Mick Claridge as they now break for La Source. Oh, and an accident behind them. That was Dimitri Houda-Ludis. Did he blow an engine or did he? Yeah, he blew an engine. I thought he just locked up the brakes, but that car expired in spectacular fashion.
Oh yeah, just blew his engine. His car just went spinning off, and you see a replay of it at the moment. And you can just see, once he hit the braking zone, his car will just dive forward. You will hear his engine explode. And he just loses control when that happens. So the race winner from Zandvoort doesn't finish this race. The upside down goes to the pits.
We got a big battle going on between Nicola Kochi, Rob Olenek, and Jamie Hall. This is in the middle of the pack. They're side by side, looking at potentially 3 wide, heading down into Rivage. Up on the outside, Jamie Hall trying to hold on, but there's very little grip as the car goes off behind them. Still not willing to give up. Now into No Name. Olenek around the outside tries to carry the momentum. What a move. It's going to get another challenge. Here comes Jamie Hall back at him. Down into Puhan. The popcorn position with Kochi behind them, waiting for it to settle out. This could go south with how close they're racing. Still nobody willing to give up. And Rob Olenek takes all the way off to the AstroTurf, and finally he loses ground.
But they still keep it side by side with Rob Olenek and Jamie Hall here. Through Campus, staying there, but this time around Rob Olenek has to give in, and that gives maybe an opportunity to Nicola Kochi. Tries it around the outside, maybe a little bit more speed through Stavelot here. Single foul, long run towards Blanchemont. You can maybe use the draft here to really close the distance and try an overtaking maneuver. Just Nicola Kochi, he's really regretting probably a poor qualifying. He was the only driver without a qualifying time. At this point, he already has made up 8 positions since the start of the race, and it seems like he's quite a bit quicker than Jamie Hall and Rob Olenek. But it's not that he only can look forward, because look behind him, Angelica Pawlowski is also eyeing up a position gain. Trying a move here on the inside of the bus stop. Rob Olenek has to give him space. Rob Olenek has a bad exit through the bus stop chicane, and Nicola Cocci around the outside makes it stick. That's 1 position extra for Nicola Cocci. He brings himself to P9.
Oh, but here comes Rob back at him down to the La Source. He's not going to give that one up easily. He gets his nose in just the same way that Nicola did, and he gets the spot back. Slightly better run off that hairpin by the Italian is going to move them side by side. How brave are you, boys? Oh, not quite brave enough. Oh no, a big bobble, and they are going to go side by side through Eau Rouge. Somehow Cocci recovers way off track for Angelica, but he has to give it up. Oh, and there's a car very slow. Who is that? That's Marco Kika. His car
almost out, yeah.
Around him. Oh my goodness.
Oh, stop for...
What? I don't even know what happened to Kika there. Did he have an incident?
Yeah, he did. He lost it on top of Radion here. You can just see him losing control. His car snapped away from him 4 or 5 times until finally he couldn't catch it anymore. Oh, who was it almost? Jamie Hall. Yeah, Jamie Hall going over the grass, and Rob Olenek as well. And in the end, it actually meant that Rob Olenek lost the position that he was fighting for so hard to Nicola Cocci.
That was the most physical manifestation of Murphy's Law I've ever seen. A car bobbles, sending them too wide. Another car tries to overtake behind them, while an accident happens in front of them on Eau Rouge in the Lotus 49. I mean, you don't get much more ridiculous than that.
Absolutely, and luckily it was only Marco Kika that was caught out in that incident. The rest of the drivers can still continue, still being led by Jamie Hall, that battle currently in P8. Nicola Cocci, P7, Nicola Cocci behind him in P8. Rob Olenek P9, and Daniel Cedros behind it, as Angelika Pavlovsky actually lost quite a bit of time.
Yeah, that certainly spreads them apart slightly. And speaking of spreading apart, Mick Claridge continues to lose ground on the top 2. It is 4.7 seconds from himself to Michel Dudignon. But it's really not those two that we need to worry about so much. Trangarade and Dudignon are the ones battling for the championship lead. And I'll have to check on the point scoring to see if Michel will be able to overtake Ove with this win, if Ove finishes in second.
Yeah, looking at the standings, at the moment it was a 193 for Trangarade, 186 for Michel Dudignon. So no drop weeks considered. The Norwegian will stay in front of the French driver as it stands.
Not by a lot. He's going to have to do something if he wants to change things. And Mick Claridge has turned gray on my screen. I don't think he's hit anything, which to me says that his internet has gone sour. Let's hope that it comes back. We haven't got the official boot from iRacing yet. I'm looking for that yellow text to pop up. Meanwhile, Jamie Hall, Nicola Cocci still going at it. Nicola looking to climb forward with that bad qualifying, and there was a bad exit coming out of Lacoon that certainly hurts his chances.
Yeah, but he still didn't lose any time to Jamie Hall. Still less than 1 car length between the two. He's really haunting there over the gearbox of Jamie Hall. Going here from one corner towards Pohon. Really a place where you can overtake, especially in these cars. This is probably a part of the track where you have to follow. You have to follow, hope for maybe a mistake of the car in front, but just make sure you do not lose connection. You do not lose a connection, so you can set yourself up for an overtake in Blanchimont. Here in Campos, he actually makes a little look. Oh, very late braking maneuver. Nicola Cocci goes sliding into the corner next to exit stick. Beautiful move from the Italian there.
Well, if ever there was a Formula One slide job, I think that one counts. Nicola Cocci getting sideways and sticking it on the apex to deny Jamie Hall. But that bumps him up to 6th position. He's got 6 seconds to make up to Billy Bob Wright, who's really been the driver who's almost, I want to say slow but steady, but he's not been slow by any means. Just consistent. He has an off track through Blanchimont, but he's got a top 5 in his hands, that number 18.
We just got a confirmation that Mick Claridge indeed lost his connection. So that means that Marco Arcadiacono is currently in P3. The Italian really capitalizing on a great qualifying position and also a really good start of the race. But the fact that he's currently on the podium position doesn't mean that he will finish there, because look behind him, Dave Price is looking very likely to take a position away from him.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that Dave Price wants to come back and see if he can do anything in this. He may have dropped a lot of spots with his horrible finish last round, But the number 5 car is not out of this championship quite yet. This race could determine whether or not he stays in the fight as they head down and break for Lecum. Gains just a little bit on Marco, but not quite enough on the Italian.
P10 at the moment, and Polavsky on the outside of Scott Velez here. That is in Lecum corner. Actually makes a stick, brakes a lot later. That's all she wrote. Good of taking the move from Angelica there to gain a position and get P10.
But the Canadian still hot on the gearbox of Angelica. They come down to Ravage, not close enough, and Angelica covers him off into the corner. Pawlowski holds on for now. Can look ahead. Remember, Angelica had a bit of an issue that lost her positions earlier in the race, so could still gain on 9th place Daniel Sadro. We'll have to wait and see.
Just a few positions in front of them, Nicola Cocci is being chased by both Jamie Hall and Rob Olenek, and I actually looked at that, was wondering what happened with Nicola Cocci. Well, he had a big moment last time around in Radillon, just on top of Eau Rouge. He almost lost it, but a great save meant that he could continue and only lost a few tenths, maybe a few seconds to the rest of his competitors. Jamie Hall's very close to him now, and especially when they come out here at Stavelot. You have a little bit of draft, and that might open up an opportunity for Jamie to get a position back from Nicola Cocci.
One thing that doesn't necessarily show itself here on the broadcast is how difficult it is running down to Blanchimont. This is, I think, the only car on the iRacing service that you can't stay flat out up to Blanchimont.
Not even a little bit. It's more than just lifting. It's a real corner in this car that you really have to approach, like not a small bend in the straight, but it's actually a corner where you have to lift off, maybe brake a little bit to stabilize the car. It's quite a difficult corner, and that just sets any track apart in this car. It's such a different beast in the Lotus 49 compared to any other car that you have in iRacing, because kinks that normally are flat out and you don't think about twice are suddenly real corners that you have to treat as such.
Look at how good Nicola Cocci is taking this back half of the course coming into the next lap. He's stretched away from Jamie Hall, who now has Rob Olenek within the slipstream. It does count for something in these cars as they start to punch a hole in the air. I don't think he's quite close enough. They come down to Lecum. They're going to stay in order. Cocci 6th, Hall 7th, and Olenek 8th.
Just have confirmation that Mick Claridge is back out on track, but because of that loss of connection, he is 1 lap down and currently driving around in P16.
The change of position, Ian Haycox and Hideki Koivisto battling for 14th, and it looks like Haycock's going to come out on top on that one. You see that is Haycox in the green machine. He's chasing Paul Foster, who's just ahead of him, and the car behind is Hideki Koivisto, the Finn. This being one of the few series where Finland isn't as dominant. I'm not sure if it's just due to lack of participation or what, although Koivisto has proven himself much more of a force in previous as seasons have gone by.
Another battle that's heating up a little bit compared to before is the one for P3. Dave Price is really on the tail now of Marco Diacono, going towards Blanchimont. There's just 2 car lengths between the two. A good run here might open up an opportunity through the bus stop chicane. Dave Price losing a little bit of time. The slid a little bit more than Marco Diacono through Blanchimont. That has hurt him. He cannot put it side by side through the bus stop chicane here. The Italian is really doing a good job, Joe. We talked about it before in the broadcast. Not only probably his best qualifying of the season, just fighting and fighting well with Mick Claridge at the beginning of the race, actually getting P3 for a little bit. And once Mick Claridge had his connection issues and Marco found himself on a podium position, he's not looking afraid or anything to really give his best to Dave Price and really battle him for that last position. He's keeping him behind him quite easily so far.
Yeah, something about Spa jives with this Italian. I don't know what it is. This is the most phenomenal performance we've seen from Marco, and he's holding off Dave Price, a race winner here in the Lotus 49 World Cup, which tells you something about Dave's pace typically on the podium, but right now he's having to work hard for that. A big slide this time from Marco and a duck in down into Malmedy. Dave Price pounces as soon as he sees an opportunity, but he can't quite capitalize as a good exit off of another corner from Marco. Denies him and a bobble down into Ravage, but still nothing doing.
A great awareness though from to twice give Dave Price just enough room so you can keep it side by side, but just keeping his car around the outside and having the increased speed and momentum help him to defend his position. Marco Kidiakono, he makes a single foul once again through Pouhon here. Marco Kidiakono is, as you can see on screen, really giving it his all, and maybe overdriving a little bit to keep Dave Price behind him, because he just starts to miss a few apexes in the corners that he takes, and that will give Dave Price the opportunity to get P3 away.
I don't know if it's just me noticing this, but does it look like Marco has different gearing? Because off the corners, it seems like every single time he stretches away from Dave Price, and it's some of the very slow corners, he is a rocket ship compared to Dave.
Yeah, exactly, but then here through Staffelo, that really doesn't help him because Dave Price is behind him. Very fast corner, still one car length there as they go towards Blanchimont. This is reminiscent of what we saw last time around. It's really close here. Can he try a move? In this place, it's already like Dave Price is setting himself up for a move. The exit of the best stop chicane. He's actually losing a little bit of time, Dave Price.
I was going to say he was way wide into that first apex. Wow, that was a horrible chicane for him. What happened there?
It already happened at braking, and at the braking zone of the bus stop chicane he already lost a lot of time. Maybe that he had a little hardware hiccup or something like that. So it almost looks a little bit more like that, and he actually made a mistake because he wasn't loose or something like that. It caused him to lose quite a bit of time.
All this action that we've been watching, it is now 7 laps to go in this 15-lap race. We've passed halfway. Your leader, if you're just joining us, is still Michel Dudignon, and is a monstrous 5 seconds over Ove Trangrade, and then another 5 back to Marco, who we were just watching battle Dave Price. Poor Mick Claridge has gotten back out on track a lap down. We've had 2 DNFs, Marco Kika and Dimitri Hudaludis.
On screen there, it was Rob Olenek finally capitalizing on the bad exit from Jamie Hall in Eau Rouge. And he gets P7 away from his GP rival. Single foul here through Lecombe, through Bruxelles. Is trying to close the gap to Nicola Cocci, who's in front, who has gapped him with around 1 second. Not as much as I thought the Italian did do. Still overseeable for Rob Olenek to close down the gap to the Italian and try and move for P6 even.
I'm not sure if he's going to be able to catch Cocci with the way he's been on a charge. If anything, Cocci's looking ahead. He's chipping away at Billy Bob Wright. Not sure if he's going to be able to catch him in time with the big gap that's between them. But from what we've seen from Cocci, he's got the bit between his teeth, and I'm not going to bet anything against him. Oh, Daniel Sadro. Daniel Sadro with a big off out of Pouhon, and I think he managed not to hit anything.
Oh yeah, just hitting the curb stones. We should go to a replay of what happened. Hitting the curb stones on the exit a little bit too hard. That unsettled the guy and just send him in a spin. Great car control to just do a 180-degree spin and keep it out of the wall. Daniel Sadro loses a lot of time but can continue this race.
Yeah, the speed he was going when he lost control. This is a car that when it's heading in a direction, it is going there in a hurry. So to get it slowed in time before the Armco is nothing short of a miracle. Sadro back in 14th and just ahead of Koivisto as we watch him break now for the bus stop chicane. That battle between Hall and Olenek is not over, and now they've got another comer. Angelica Pavlowski has rocked up to the back of these two.
Yeah, it's really bunching everyone up here under a blanket through Eau Rouge. The exit here, if you have a good exit, is probably the best overtake. Oh, look at Angelica, great run there through Eau Rouge, immediately closing the gap to Jamie Hall, and a little bit of draft won't hurt you there either, especially if Jamie Hall is forced to cover the inside and will not have any draft of Rob Olenek in front of him. Angelica on the outside, not able to break as late as Jamie Hall and has to give in for now. Cannot get a position away after a bad exit through Eau Rouge from Jamie Hall.
Great defense from Jamie. Unfortunately, that does lose him a little bit of time on Olenek. He's got to worry about how defensive he goes. A bit of a slide from both himself and Pawlowski down into Rivage. Breaking a little bit early for No Name, and as they come out of the corner, just not quite close enough to make it side by side, coming down to Puhan.
Jamie Hall losing a little bit of time, maybe warming up his tires a little bit too much with that slide, because out of No Name corner he was very loose once again, and that loses him immediately 3-4 car lengths towards Rob Olenek. Angelica's trying to capitalize on that on board here of the yellow car. Just hunting down Jamie Hall here. Leading the gearbox, Jamie Hall a little bit wide through the chicane towards Stavelo.
This is the battle for 8th position that we're watching right now. As they power off the second apex of Stavelo and work their way down the winding backstretch towards Blanchimont. Jamie Hall now getting those tires under control because it's looking a little bit more calm, and he's pulling something of a gap over that yellow and green machine.
A bit wide there on the exit, little wobble for Jamie Hall there once he went off the curbstones, but it didn't hurt him just enough to really give Angelica an opportunity to put it side by side. And curiously enough, even though this couple of drivers is fighting, Rob Olenek isn't able to really extend his gap. It just stays the same as it was last time. Otherwise, Angelica almost loses control of the car there. Almost rear ends Jamie Hall in Lasseur's hairpin, and that cost him a lot of time there.
Let's watch an onboard of Pawlowski if we can get one, because that looked really scary heading in. Great job by Pawlowski to regather it in time and keep it from spinning out. These cars don't snap terribly quick, but you got to really know how they behave to try and catch those moments. So Angelica may still be running, but unfortunately an opportunity to pass is going to take a little bit of hard work to regather. So, meanwhile, ahead of them, I've been just watching Kochi and Wright and seeing what that gap is. It is down to 4.5 seconds. So again, Kochi is gaining, but at this point, I'm starting to think that the Italian is going to have to bank on a major error from Billy Bob to have an opportunity to get into the top 5.
Yeah, looking at the last few lap times, it was just a few tenths per lap. A few tenths to 1 second per lap, so with only 5 laps remaining, it's really Billy Bob who has to decrease his speed quite dramatically. Thus the Italian won the chance to really get that P4 position, P5 position. Looking at the battle for P4, Dave Price and Marco Chidiacona, it doesn't look like Dave Price is quick enough to really close the gap once again to the Italian. So currently around 1 second between the two. It has been like that for the last few laps. Last time around, Dave Price did a 1:17.6 and 10 slower than Marco Chidiacona, which is really consistent at the moment. He had one offshoot where he did a 1:18. But apart from that, Marco Chidiacona's consistency himself, just doing a 2:17 every single lap, with that keeping Dave Price at bay for now.
Well, I'm hoping Marco is able to speak a little bit of English so that we can talk to him after the race, because I would love to hear what has caused him to really up his game at this track. Price is not giving up. He's keeping him honest, but he's going to have to work a little bit harder if he wants to get back onto the podium. Unfortunately, the only real close battle that we've got is still for this 7th place. Olenek Hall and Pawlowski. Angelica has regained up to cut that gap down to about half a second, but still not able to get by Hall.
And maybe it's fun to also look at another battle real quickly. I see one heating up. It's between Paul Foster, Ian Haycox and Daniel Cedro. There's a battle for P12 at the moment. Paul Foster, who was fighting a few laps ago with Philippe Urquhart, had a horrible last lap, had an off-track penalty in Eau Rouge, and also lost a little bit of time after that. As you can see, this really has bunched them up together. The car in the back of the screen at the moment, that is Mick Claridge. He is not fighting with them, even though they're only 2 positions ahead of him, because Mick Claridge is still 1 lap down compared to them.
All of them staying in line through Lacombe, Foster, Haycox, Sadro, your order. but very, very close to one another, keeping half an eye on the gaps on that other battle as well as this one as we get these guys a little bit of screen time. Again, this is top split, so even though this is at the back of the field, it takes a lot just to get into the split in this car. Down into Pouhon they go with Paul Foster leading the train, keeping himself a little bit safer from Haycox than Haycox is from Sadro. Remember, Sadro had that big spin at this very point on track and is on a recovery drive now.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting about this battle, is that Daniel Sadro was the one who qualified furthest of these three. And after that spin was relegated down a few positions, and he's trying to find it.
We've got an attack on third. Dave Price stuck his noses coming up to the bus stop. Coming off of there, he's looking a lot better, getting the power down, does not lose ground this time. Not sure if he's going to send one up. Oh, yes, he is. He's going way late on the brakes down into La Source, but can he get it turned in? Yes, he does. He's finally got that third place, but momentum swings back in favor of Marco, and it is a drag race down to Eau Rouge. They still have 3 laps to go.
He blew his engine! He blew his engine! Marco!
Oh, what disappointment after a phenomenal race. That podium slipping through his fingers. He pulls off track to let the others go by and sputters to a disappointing halt. You cannot help but feel bad for Marco there as we take a look at this 7th place battle. No time to breathe. Jamie Hall just behind Rob Olenek.
Jamie Hall trying to make a move there, get that position back on Rob Olenek, who doesn't make it stick. But as you're saying, I'm still thinking about Marco. Just heartbreak for the Italian there, driving a great race, great qualifying, really giving it everything. He actually had a great run out of La Source that time as well to put it side by side and maybe be in front of Eau Rouge. Just under shifting, he blews up his engine, and that's the day done for the Italian, who's falling down the order now, sending Billy Bob Wright to P4, Nicola Cocci to P5.
We watch Jamie Hall. We don't have to go to it, but Daniel Sadro slipped up in La Source, spun around, and had to get going once again, so he lost a lot of time and is now fighting with Visto. So this battle for 7th place, for 6th place now actually, because of being promoted by Marco, is very much on. They may have lost Angelica, but Rob Olenek and Jamie Hall have been attached at the hip, not just this race, but pretty much all season.
Yeah, these drivers know each other very well from other series. And you can see that they're just staying together here in the Lotus 49 as well. Every single race we see them fighting with each other, qualifying around the same places. And you can bet some money on it that if you see Rob Olenek on the track, Jamie Hall isn't that far away. At the moment this time it's the same going through the bus stop chicane. Jamie Hall clubbing the curbstones quite high there. That loses a little bit of time on exit though. Could go on the throttle a bit later than his rival. Rob Olenek just stays in front of him for now. Both drivers gained several positions since the start of the race. Rob Olenek started in P9, currently driving in P6. Jamie Hall started in P12, making up 5 positions so far.
A fantastic job. Attrition not very high, but still counting for something around here as they top Radillon and head down the Kemmel Straight. With 2 laps to go, we are still being led by a driver we haven't shown hardly at all. Michel Dudignon, the #1 car, is in P1. He's already heading through Pouhon, and he's gapped Ove Trangrade by about 10 seconds now, looking as smooth as ever. According to Johann's math, he's not going to overtake the points lead, but it's going to make it very, very close with, after this race, after the checkered flag, only 2 rounds left.
I'm just looking at Michel Dudignon's lap times throughout this race. He's at the moment almost 10 seconds in front of Ove Trangrade, but he's not slowing down at all. Last 3 laps were his quickest laps of the race. The 16.3, a 16.1 and a 16.2. The French driver is just really putting the spurs on his horse. and trying to finish this race on a high. He's not slowing down at the moment. Over Triangulate behind him is giving it everything he's got. But the gap between him and Michel Dudillon, he has behind him as well to Dave Price. And that's a really good race for the Norwegian. He couldn't beat Michel Dudillon on track, but he did the second best thing, and that's just dominating the race from P2 and winning there, getting that podium position with a very healthy marching towards P3.
And this might be a bit of a death knell for poor Dave Price, getting up to the podium, but at 20, let's see, it's 25 points back, 26 points back, I believe, behind Michel Dudillon. Losing a little bit more and only 2 rounds left. It's going to be extremely difficult. It would have to be disaster in the final 2 rounds for Michel Dudillon to lose to Price. And in fact, Nicola Kochi is ahead of Dave Price in points, but is trying to catch Billy Bob Wright right now. He's going to lose points to Price, but he's trying to minimize that. So we now have a battle for 4th.
Yeah, the Italian, we mentioned it before, he was the only driver who didn't set a qualifying time. Started the race in P18, currently driving in P5, making up 13 positions so far this race. He's not really satisfied with that. He wanted to make it 14 positions. He's putting the pressure on Billy Bob Wright. He had a horrible exit last time around through Source. His car got very, very loose. This is quite a bit of time, but every lap he wins a lot of positions.
Oh no, Jamie Hall and Radillion. This was all on his own. The temptation to get on the power through this corner is always so great, and I think he got too greedy.
Yeah, well, exactly that, Joe. He just tried too much to stay close to Rob Olenek. Looped his car around. Now, luckily for Jamie Hall, he can continue though. He lost a lot of time and a lot of positions. He was actually overtaken by Philippe Urquhart. That means that Jamie Hall's currently driving a P10.
So we come back live. Let's head to Michel Dudillon. Only a few corners left to go. As we watch him complete the race, we'll break in if Billy Bob Wright and Kochi find themselves in a battle because they are close. But Dudillon deserves a little bit of screen time for the absolutely flawless race that he's run here. He took the pole. He has not been bothered since the drop of the green with 1 more corner to go. Just heading through La Source, his gap is pretty much insurmountable from here. But trying to take this championship coming from way far back, Michel Dudillon comes 1 step closer to taking another crown and wins here at Spa. Let's jump back to that battle for 4th.
Nicola Kochi tries it around the outside of the bus-up chicane. He brakes extremely late, gets it slowed down just in time. Oh no, he hits me! Billy Bob right there on the apex. He gives the position back to Billy Bob. I think he slows down a little bit to make it a drag race. Of course, after La Source, that means they have only 1 more braking, so 1 more straight to go. But it seems like Billy Bob Wright just lost all the speed after that contact. Maybe has some damage. And it's Nicola Kochi who will come home in P4. Billy Bob Wright who will only finish after driving in P4 almost all race. P5. Oh no, behind him, Rob Olenek actually has the speed. That's a drag race. Oh! Who got it there? Oh, Rob Olenek, 0.003 of a second.
Oh goodness. Billy Bob Wright, I'm pretty sure, had a damaged suspension, hence why he was going so slow. That has got to be disappointing. And you could tell Kochi wanted to play fair and give the position back, but with him so damaged, he couldn't afford to wait as the cars continue to stream across the line. No battles left, unfortunately, as Koivisto is going to be the last on the lead lap to finish. Let's take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back after this and show the official results as well as driver interviews. On screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races on the GSRC. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. We just watched round 9 here in the Lotus 49 World Cup. And of course, the winner, very obvious today with it putting on pole and then having no one to challenge him. Michel Dudignon gets a 10-second gap to the next car back at the line. Ove Trangrade gave it his best to try and limit the damage. He's still going to retain the lead, we think, in the points after this, but he takes second place. And Dave Price, a little bit of luck in his favor, had to fight for third, coming from 6th on the grid. How about Nicola Cocci, though? Maybe not have gotten that qualifying time in, but that is no mean feat, going from 18th to 4th. We'll have to see if we talk to him how he feels about that last incident. Rob Olenek gets 5th right at the line because poor Billy Bob Wright, dealing with a damaged car with only 2 corners to go, falls down to 6th. Angelica Pawlowski finishes in 7th with Scott Velez taking 8th, and Philippe Urquhart going from 14th to 9th. Nice job to Philip. And top 10 rounded out by Jamie Hall with a late accident.
Paul Foster is the first driver outside of the top 10. He comes home in P11 after winning 2 positions since the start of the race. Liam Haycock's behind him also wins a nice share of places, going from P16 to P12. Daniel Cedro had some troubles along the way, including a spin. The exit of Poelhorn, he comes home in P13. Dick Cortisto is the last driver on the lead lap. He finishes in 14th place. Mick Claridge, the driver we actually had hopes that he would fight Michel Dudignon for the win here, but connection issues meant that he had to put his car in the grid. He could, in the pits. He could continue after that. He only finishes 1 lap down in P15. Marco Kiliokona, that's also another driver we had packed for a podium finish this race, but in the end a blown engine just dashes all his hopes, and he's only classified in 16th position. And then there's 2 drivers that crashed early on in the race. There were Marco Kika, classified in P17, and Dimitris Soudaloudis finishing in 18th place.
And I did the cardinal sin of doing math on GSRC. It is 3 rounds left, not 2 rounds left, with this being round 9 complete. In the meantime, we have Dave Price. I can count up to 3 at least, getting onto the podium with a little bit of luck, unfortunate luck. It looked like you and Marco were having just a phenomenal battle before that blown engine there, Dave.
Yeah, hi Joe. Yeah, it was a really good battle. I wasn't sure until I watched the replay afterwards what had actually happened. I didn't know if he crashed. I just heard the bang and saw the smoke in my mirror, and it wasn't until after the race to realise what had happened. I don't know how he blew his engine on the straight, but it was a real shame because he was really quick. It was a really good battle. I had a few issues with getting false neutrals coming into the bus stop, which kind of every time I caught him up, I seemed to cause myself a problem. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Decent result in the end.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if maybe he has a H pattern shifter and it just unfortunately went into the wrong gear. Now, let's talk about your race, though. Were you a little surprised that you were suddenly battling with Mick up there, with him being stuck in that group that you guys had from about 3rd on back?
Yeah, I'm always surprised when I'm lucky enough to be close to Mick on the track. And he was super quick in practice earlier. So I saw on the chat afterwards he'd had some internet issues. So I don't know if that's played a role in that at all. But I think eventually he sort of found his groove and seems to sort of start to pull away from Marco and myself.
Now, with 3 rounds to go, obviously you've lost more points to Michel, even though you managed to get a 3rd here today. What's your end goal in the championship, since coming in you had already slipped down to 4th?
To be honest, my goal is always the same every week. I just come here to enjoy myself, to be honest. And points in the championship just take care of themselves. And I always thought Michel would pull away at the top in the end. We all know he's pretty much, well, him and Mick anyway, are the quickest drivers in the series. But it's nice to be up there. It's nice to have something to aim for. But mostly I just I enjoy the races. It's a cracking series to race in. This is.
Well, you gave us a lot of great action there in your battles with Marco. We hope that continues. Thanks for coming and talking to us, and best of luck a week from now.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. See you next week. Have fun.
That was Dave Price. And up next, I believe we have the Italian Nicola Cocci talking to our own Johan Vandenbelt.
Yeah, Nicola, welcome to the booth. Nicola, starting in P18, finishing in P4. I don't think that's something that you probably would have guessed would happen before the race. What a great result and a great run.
Yeah, hi guys. Honestly, I don't even know how I could finish fourth. I just when I start so far back, I always think there is a very high chance that I am not gonna finish the race. So I think I was kind of lucky to get this result with that poor qualifying session.
What actually happened in your qualifying session? Did you have some off tracks that invalidated your laps, or was there something else going on?
No, it was too little 1x that who knows iRacing knows what I mean. Sometimes it triggers, sometimes not. I was of course, on the qualifying, you always have to be on the limit. And it came straight out of the blue. I didn't even realize that I was that close to get 1x. I did, a little mistake on the first lap. So I just had to relax a little bit to try to do the second lap correctly. And I did just that, but that doesn't matter because I got another 1x for, strange reason from my point of view. But of course, there is like a real thing, a real reason why I've got it. I would just I guess, too much distracted or too nervous. I don't know, but I've got to 1x, and that was over for me.
I see. Well, it's a shame that it happened in qualifying. At least meant that you had a great overtaking race, like almost Red Bull-like in Formula One this year when they start from the back of the race. You just carved your way through it, especially under braking. It seemed like you were very strong, just sliding your way past Jamie Hall. I seem to remember at one point in the race. Was it something like did you have a different mind going in the race, knowing that you had to make so many overtakes that you maybe took a little bit more risk than you normally would do?
Yeah, first of all, I forced myself to be relaxed on the start because there where the things can go very, very wrong. So I just waited for past the Eau Rouge to do my real attack, and once the group was a little bit more far apart from each other, I could slip, one corner after another to try to gain as more position as possible. I think I had a pretty stable setup, so that is coming very handy because I was able to attack all the race long. So yeah, I was attacking on braking, on exit, on everything, and that's helped me a lot to gain my position back.
Yeah, see, and lastly, that move that you had two corners before the end on Billy Bob Wright, you of course came together. I'm wondering how it was from your point of view, because it looked that after the incident you tried to give the position back to him.
Yeah, honestly, I tried to pull out like a Villeneuve style or overtake there, because I knew that on the outside in that little chicane you can have like very good chance to get the position. So I would just braking super late and try to stay on track, and it kind of worked that way. But when I was turning on the second corner, on the second curve, basically, I just saw with the corner of my eye Billy that it was coming. So I just tried to brake a bit more to miss it, but I had no way to go there. I was almost completely still. So we just have a contact, and I was happy to give the position back, but I saw immediately that he had some damage, so he wasn't able to get my position back. So I don't know if it was a little bit too dirty move, but I had no way to go, and I hope that Billy would not have hard feelings about that.
Yeah, I hope so as well. It at least was a great race for you out there. It was great fun to see you slice through the field. And well, congratulations with P4 here today at Spa.
Yeah, thank you guys. I will be, I know that it's entertaining, but from my perspective was very challenging. And the next time I hope to be, good on quali, and that's it.
Very good. So that was Nicola Cocci coming home today in P4. Now, in the meantime, you've caught up with another driver fighting a lot today, Billy Bob Wright.
Yeah, and he was on the other end of that incident. So just for continuity, why don't we ask for Billy Bob's perspective? That's got to be a little bit gutting, that last incident at the end. Billy Bob, do you have a copy? Well, looks like his mic isn't fully set up. We'll give it a little bit more time to see if he can get this sorted out, because we do have one more driver we want to talk to as wait to see if Billy Bob's got his mic working out. Billy Bob, do you have a copy there? It looks like, unfortunately, he's... Oh. Thought it... Oh, we hear something.
Hey, you there, Joe?
Now we've got Billy Bob. Billy Bob, tell us about your perspective real quick on that last incident. I'm sure that's really disappointing after.
Yeah, just, hey, number one, I'm not disappointed at all. I mean, just to get in was fantastic. I was super pumped about getting in, and then had a nice quiet race. I saw Nicola coming, and I knew he was probably going to catch me. I expected him to catch me earlier, but he made a few mistakes. Anyway, bottom line, racing incident. Unfortunate. I think he shouldn't have shoved it in there as hard as he did, but I also didn't give him any room. So I'll just count that up as a racing incident. But super thrilled with the result, man. It's so nice to be back and back on the racetrack. And 6 weeks out of the car, and I really enjoying getting back in. So just super excited to be there.
Yeah, and we're glad to have you back as well. Does this mean we'll see you in the last 3 rounds?
That's my plan right now, as long as my cellular connection holds up, and I'll try to get in and hopefully have some more races like that. That was a great time, and good to be back.
Well, apologies for this one being so short, but we want to get a chance to try and talk to Marco after his performance. Commiserations that it was 6th instead of 4th, but nice drive today.
Yeah. Oh, and just to FYI, I got a slowdown when I got pushed off into the outside of the track, and that's why I couldn't go by him, and why Rob caught me there at the end, because I was counting off a slowdown. So anyway, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
That answers our question then. That was Billy Bob Wright, 6th place finishers. Real quick, we've got Marco Arcidiacono. And first off, before we get to what happened in your race, Marco, are we saying your name correctly? How is your last name pronounced? Marco, do you have a copy?
Yeah, hello, guys.
Real quick for us, how do we pronounce your last name?
Arcidiacono.
Arcidiacono. All right, we will remember that. So what? I don't recall a time we've seen you challenging this far up the field before. What is it about Spa that brought the best out in you today?
Yeah, Spa-Francorchamps is my preferred track on iRacing, and I ever drive better with all cars here, and with the Lotus 49 it's special for me because drive here is really fun. I have done good qualifying. I start for 4th position, and I fight with Mick Lage until he had network trouble, I think. And after that, David Price start to fight with me, and at 2 laps to go, if I right, I have engaged the 3rd gear instead of 5th gear, because I use the H pattern. So I blow my engine. That was very, very unlucky.
Yeah, we kind of wondered if that was the case. Still, that was an incredible drive. You and Dave Price put on a great show. How do you feel about that battle?
It was a nice battle because it was really correct. And there's no hard attack from him, and I drive with war, so the battle is really fun than monitor or triple screen. Then after the accident, sorry for my English, I disconnected from the server, and I had really ugly arrabbiato. I don't remember the term. Sorry, guys.
It's okay, and no need to apologize for your English because it's better than my Italian. So,
thanks, Joe.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and talking to us. Regardless, I'm glad we got to hear from your perspective because we were all absolutely wowed by your driving, and hopefully, we see some more good performances like that, Marco.
Thanks. I don't know if I understand correctly your question because I some trouble to understand the English spoken. But if I understand correctly, this is the first time that I can battle with Mick because he is very, very, very fast. As a Michel Dudognon, so is I think that was lucky that I can battle with him. I don't think that in the next race I can fight another time with him.
I think we'll see more of you yet still, Marco, as my director is helping me with my Italian. So arrivederci. Thank you for talking to us. That was Marco Asetiacono joining us there. We got to close up here today. So with that, we want to give a big thank you, of course, to the Lotus 49 community for coming back for another season of coverage, and of course to iRacing for bringing us on to IESN. Again, if you like this action that you saw on the iRacing Esports Network, make sure to subscribe. And a big thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Johan, Sean, and Dougie. I'm so stuck in habit here. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget, there's also the Global Sim Racing channel here on YouTube. We also have a big red button, so head on over to our channel, hit that button, and you won't miss a moment on the GSRC. The next race hopefully should be a little bit better for qualifying for guys like Nicola Kochi. Silverstone, that'll be Saturday, November 17th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.